Hello again, everybody. The pictures you're looking at the moment are my test tube colonies in hibernation. I brought them out the fridge for no more than about 2 or 3 minutes, in case anyone's worried. I got the camera set up and ready to go and was filming, and then brought them and put them in front of the camera with it already running. Anyway, this is just some pictures to assure people, because I've had some comments that I've had from people on Reddits and stuff where they've been a little bit worried and said, oh, will my ants survive in the fridge? And just to show people, look, they're fine. The ants in the fridge are absolutely fine. And in fact, if you ever buy a queen or a colony from an ant supplier, very often they're keeping their stock in the fridge until it's ready to be sold. Anyway, what I really wanted to do today was I wanted to talk about setups maybe for next year. So for anybody who caught a queen in June, July, August this year, 2022, and they've just gone into their first hibernation and they are looking or thinking about, what am I going to be considering moving my ants into next year, and how big a setup do I need, what sort of things do I need to buy? Because I know a lot of ant keepers that watch my channel might not have an income of their own and be reliant on things like Christmas presents, which is why I'm making the video at this time of year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I look for, or how I set up my ants nests. So I have three parts of my ant keeping, and the first part is flexibility. And this is the most important part. What you're looking at here is, and this is going to end up being a big advert for Wakushi again, probably. But what you're looking at here is a Wakushi four-way connector. And this is like the most important. I'm just saying there, you can have two types of connector, the ones with the holes or the ones that are solid so that they can't go through. So this gives me the flexibility. And also, as I'm showing here, there are air holes in the roof of this. So if I end up using it as something to get them to transfer from one test tube to another, I know they've got air when I've got them connected up to this and I'm trying to get them to move, for example. So yeah, that's the heart of my setup. Then these are, again, Wakushi, these are tube connectors. So this allows you to take a piece of pipe and connect it up to the four-way. You just get the type that with the hole in between, and you can then slide that onto there. And so that allows me then to connect a little bit of pipe, and what you'll see there, I've got a smaller piece of pipe going into the larger piece of pipe, because I'm changing pipe diameter. And then these are test tube connectors. So this allows you to connect a test tube to a piece of pipe. So the piece of pipe fits on like a groove on one end of the connector. I'm just pulling it off there. And the other end slides into the test tube. Now, again, you get these from different manufacturers. That one there is a Wakushi one. This one here is an ant kit one that uses a slightly different pipe diameter. And sometimes they will fit into the test tube that is specific to the manufacturer that sells them. So sometimes you have to change and play around with them. But I've got this, first of all, I've got this thing here that I'm showing here is that I will change pipe sizes. This is how to get a smaller ant kit pipe into a larger Wakushi pipe by sliding one into the other, which then allows me to connect that test tube connector up to the Wakushi sized pipe. And the other thing I've shown me doing this before in the past is you can see the one at the back there with the green cotton wrapped around it. If I'm using my big glass tubes and I want to get one of these to slide in and stay snug, I just wrap cotton around it to increase its diameter, and that means it slides into the test tube snugly. So now I've shown you, and yes, I've got a big roll of pipe, so I've always got spare bits of pipe available, but I bought a huge roll of pipe like this because I want to have pipe trailing around my setups as my ant colony gets larger, with them going from different outworlds to different outworlds. So you wouldn't need a length of pipe this long, especially not on your first year. And then I have all these little accessories like this with the little slidey door. This allows me, they very often use this as their rubbish dump, so allows me to get rubbish out. Water towers, although you don't need to have a water tower in your setup if you don't want to. You can have loose as freestanding water towers in the outworld work just as well, or even just a test tube, a water test tube just shoved in the outworld. And then this stuff, PTFE, anti-escape liquid, for painting the tops of your outworlds, just to give you that extra level of security. So all of this first part, I've just been showing you flexibility, and I'll show you how now I can connect tubes, test tubes, and other things up to the two main parts. So the first of those is an outworld. I'm showing you some of my outworlds here, all cleaned, ready for next year. Doesn't really matter in your next year which size you use. And if you did buy a small outworld, and then you think, oh yeah, I wish I'd bought bigger, it doesn't matter again, because as you've seen, I've got multiple outworlds for my setup now. It's getting large, and I'm connecting them up so that they have to run between the two and all sorts. What I would say to you when looking at outworlds is do make sure they've got overhanging lips so that you can paint the underside of the lip. That really makes escape practically impossible. They can't climb upside down on Fluon. And even big outworlds are fine with Lasius niger. They'll explore any size of outworld. It's not a problem for them. So go with whatever you can afford. It's often the most expensive part of buying Ant Kit is the actual outworlds, and those outworlds are from Ant Kit UK. And then a nest, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, your nest does not need to be massive. You're looking at something 6 by 6, 6 by 7 centimetres. I've put a ruler along the back there of all 4 of those nests. All 4 of those would be suitable for your first year colony. None of them are massive, none of them are too big. But I put a ruler there just to show you the sort of size that you are considering. You're not looking for a huge, great nest for next year. One thing I would say to you to look at, and I was talking to somebody on Reddit who've put their ants into a too big a nest, but they can't get them out because the one that they bought doesn't screw together like these. So do look and make sure that you've got a nest that if in an emergency something's going wrong, you can get to your ants and get them out. And then this is how I put all of that together. This is a sort of setup that would be great for you for next year. As you can see, I've got the flexibility, I've got the 4-way in the middle, I've got a nest, an outworld, a water tower, and the test tube that they're currently living in. So you don't have to dump them out the test tube or move them. When you're ready to introduce them, you can just slide the test tube onto the 4-way and let them move in at their own pace when they're ready. So you're not forcing ants to move. So yes, if I was going to buy somebody a setup for their Lasius niger colony for its first full year, having come out of its first hibernation, this is what I would buy, this is what I would advise. So I'm just making this video as a bit of a guide. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.